Okay guys, I'm going to make a two-part series on how to catch sea bass. Um, on this fishing trip, I actually caught one sea bass in the afternoon and one at night. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of show you guys how I catch sea bass in Tokyo. So the very first tip for daytime fishing for sea bass is that your main your main objective would be fishing around cover. So as you can see in the video right now, I'm fishing along the sea wall. So this should be your primary or secondary tactic for targeting sea bass. So sea bass, again, I said in the previous video that sea bass like to hide in cover, especially during the day, and they are more active at night. So they come out in open water at night, but during the day, especially morning, afternoon, you want to target the seawall where they're usually hiding or they're waiting to ambush prey. So sea walls is one really good option. The second I'd say would be bridges. So I'm gonna pop in a clip right now to show you how I'm fishing at bridges. Okay, so you can see me casting on right next to the pylons. If possible, you want to try to be as accurate as you can and slip in between the pylons or right in front or right behind the pylons. This is where the sea bass usually ambush their prey. They're waiting for bait fish to swim past or anything that is weak or about to die, and they can just ambush prey very easily while hiding in those pylons. And also, bait fish like to hide along the seawall and hide in those kind of shaded areas. So that's where you want to target and place your lure, so the sea bass can easily um, eat your lure without having to swim out in the open water, which they really dislike doing. But you have to be very careful when you're fishing bridges and pylons. The first thing is that get ready to get your lure snagged, because casting into pylons, lots of times they're covered in shells, oysters, um, basically anything really sharp, and the concrete is also exposed, and lots of time the metal around the bridges are rusted. So if you were to get your fluorocarbon or monofilament leader caught up in that, you're instantly going to break off. So definitely try to be very accurate with your casting. And if you cast onto a wood pylon, you can say goodbye to your $20 lure, because those treble hooks are not coming off. And you're basically gonna have to break off your lure in the pylons, and yeah, there goes $20. And the second thing is to be really careful when you're casting near bridges, because usually there are people walking on top of the bridge, like pedestrians. So you do not want to cast towards people that are on the bridge. If you cast too high, you might actually accidentally hit them. And if you hook people on the bridge, you can get sued or get into really big trouble. Uh, and yeah, if you hook someone in the eye or hook their baby or like fucking throw your triple treble hook lure into a baby cart or hook a dog or something, you're probably really fucked. And also, uh, to add on to the point of not hooking people, always check behind you before you cast, because where you're fishing is really urban, and lots of joggers and people who walk their dogs might be walking behind you. And if you don't look behind you before you cast, and you hook someone in the face, or again hook their dog or hook their baby or whatnot, you're really fucked. And also, worst case scenario, after you get sued, the spot that you're fishing in can also be closed off and become illegal to fish, so it'll be no longer accessible for anglers. And also, you probably traumatize the person for life that you hooked. And also, if you cast really hard onto bridges and those metal pylons, it can also break lures, especially if you're using lures with really big diving lips. You can break off your lure, and again, you're gonna lose money and you're polluting the fucking environment. Okay, so my tips when practicing casting into these kinds of like covered areas for sea bass would be practice with soft plastics, because soft plastics you don't have to worry about uh, breaking the lure. There's only one hook on a soft plastic. You can bang it against the oyster shells and the metal pylons, it will not break. You can practice casting as much as you want, and you won't break your lure, and you won't get hung up, and it's much safer compared to a lure with treble hooks if you were to accidentally hit someone with it, because you probably won't hook them. But just be super careful with people, because you just don't want to get in trouble with that. And also one more thing, if you plan on fishing during the day for sea bass, your general retrieve should be faster compared to nighttime. The general rule of thumb for this should be the clearer the water, the faster your retrieve should be, because sea bass can see right through your lure and they can tell if it's fake or not. So when you're retrieving really fast, you don't give them the time to judge if it's real or not. So you basically get a reaction bite from them, and that's how you catch sea bass in really clear water. But in this situation right now, I'm fishing in kind of a cloudy. The weather was kind of cloudy and the water was a little bit stained, so I could get away with a slower retrieve. So if you plan on fishing during daytime, you should aim to fish during cloudy weather or when the water is kind of stained, so it won't be as hard to catch sea bass. So that's a pretty basic summary on how to catch sea bass during the day in Japan. Again, you want to target seawall along the seawall, and you want to target bridges near the pylons where sea bass are hiding, but be very careful about not hooking pedestrians or people behind you or people on bridges, and do not get hung up. But most importantly, just do not hook anybody who's not fishing. All right, that's it.